So welcome to day 5 of the Creativity Challenge. I'm so excited that you are here with us on day 5. Yeah, we've learned a lot over the last 4 days, and hopefully today we'll continue the learning. And today we're going to look at this myth, I'm too old. I think that's a really important myth to challenge, because I was just thinking, that saying, you can't teach an old dog new tricks, which I don't think is true at all. Dogs can always learn, and so can we. So when I was researching this topic, I found the topic of creativity. I found some information. It was actually a TED Ed talk. So it's a little bit different than the TEDx. It's where they educate you. And I didn't even know there was such a thing. But I found this little link from a communication expert, and his name is Graham Shaw. And I can send you the link. I'll email that to you. And for those of you who might be watching the replay, just reach out to me at my website, which is thewilddivine.us, and I'll send you the link. So anyway, his talk was really interesting. He was working with a live audience, and he showed them, I think it was like maybe 15 minutes long. And he showed them how to use these simple lines to create these really expressive cartoon characters. And it was really fun, because you could see how excited the audience was to be able to draw like that. And then even more fascinating to me was the fact that he decided to take his drawing techniques into residential centers for older adults, and especially with stroke survivors. And he discovered that he could teach them with his special techniques to be able to draw too. And it was so exciting, because he could see the joy in their faces, because a lot of them, when you have a stroke, you lose your ability to do a lot of things. But he worked with them, and they learned how to draw those expressive cartoon characters. And then also he checked back in. I think he did it like a couple of times, and then he started doing it a lot, because the people that worked at these residential centers said, this is great, that our residents are more confident, and they can communicate more, because you're helping them develop new neural pathways. That's one of the things that we don't realize, and that's why we can learn new tricks, is because we develop new neural pathways when we set our mind to. And we can learn all kinds of things. We can when we have a stroke, I've heard that you can retrain different parts of your brain, and then you can start to regain some of the things that you initially lost. So I really don't buy into that myth that I'm too old to create, or that you can't learn new things or new tricks. So this is a really fun story too. This isn't an actual picture of Elizabeth Layton, but I didn't want to violate any copyright laws. So this is a picture from Pixabay, which is a great resource. So I love this photo because it just reminds me of Elizabeth Layton. I don't know, have you ladies ever heard of her?
No.
Well, she grew up in Kansas, and that's how I learned about her. I didn't actually ever get to meet her, but when I was taking my graduate training in art therapy, this is one of the things that they would teach us about was Elizabeth Layton. So she actually lived in Kansas in a really small town called Wellsville. And she didn't start drawing until she was, I think, 68 years old, right? I think I may have mentioned her before. So she's 68 years old, and she goes to a community college, and she takes a class, and I think it was a contour drawing class, and she started drawing. And her background is kind of interesting too. Her father was a newspaper editor, and when he passed on, she took over his managing the paper. And they say that they think because she was exposed to so many things that in the newspaper business, that's why she kind of actually became a social activist, because she really cared about some things that were happening. She raised 5 children on her own. and maybe, I was looking actually, I'll send you the link for this, but this information came from the Smithsonian website. And they said that they think because she raised those kids on her own, that's why she is so, or used to be so in tune with and have such empathy for people who are trying to work through things beyond their control. She also had depression all of her life, and until she started doing contour drawing. And actually, just most people that have worked with her believe that the reason she overcame her depression finally was because she expressed so much of the things that she needed to work through. She expressed those things through her contour drawings. And she really had an affinity for people who were suffering and really struggled with some of the demands and expectations and pressures of modern society. Her drawings are so much fun to look at because she dispels a lot of the myths of old age and of being a grandmother. One of her drawings is called Old Age is Going Around and I Think I Caught It. So funny. And she would draw pictures of herself and her husband. I think his name was Glenn, and she would put them together in the drawings. And there's one that I love because she also kind of dispelled the myths about being a grandmother. One of my favorites is, so she's sitting there at a table. She drew herself sitting at a table, and one of her grandchildren was sitting with her. And I don't know if it was from the title or for stuff or from things that she added, but you could tell it was Thanksgiving. So, but instead of having, you know how much time it takes to prepare those Thanksgiving meals, right? With the turkey and the dressing, and there's all these things that we love. Well, she was like, I'm not having this anymore. So they were having Oreos and something else, which I thought was just hysterical. It's like, yeah, let's break free of some of these expectations when they become too much from us or for us. So she continued to make art until around 1993. And by that time, her work had gained national and probably international recognition. And as I said, it was on display, or they have some of her pieces at the Smithsonian. So that's really incredible. I think that, even if our pieces don't make it into a museum, but to be able to heal and to achieve our potential and to help society, she really helped society. When I was in graduate school, I remember there was a poster. She would make drawings and donate them to be used as posters for different causes that she believed in. I think there was like domestic violence and things like that. But anyway, people loved her work, and I encourage you to take a look at it. It's a great story. And it's, as you know, from doing the contour drawings of your hand, it's a wonderful technique. It really can open up some doors for you. So, which brings me to creativity task number 5.
Oh dear.
I know, don't freak out though. Don't freak out. It'll be okay. Your challenge, should you choose to accept it, is to do a contour drawing of your face. Now, there'll be a video that you can watch that illustrates how to do it. All you need is, a piece of paper, some tape to hold the paper in place, a marker, and a handheld mirror. These are some examples of contour drawings that, now see this, and this one's on the left here, it's obviously modified. It's not as distorted as this one on the right is. So modified contour, you still spend most of the time looking at the object that you're drawing, which in this case is just your face. And it's just shapes and lines, just like your hand was. The one on the right is, I spend a little more time. I didn't spend as much time looking at the paper. You can see it's more distorted. But they're very expressive. This one on the left, I'm going to invite you to add a background, because that's what Leighton did. She would draw her face, and she would draw her body a lot of times too. So feel free to draw your entire body if you want to. I spend a lot of time just doing my face as a starting point. And then you just, whatever theme you're exploring, which I invite you to add a background and explore a theme. Terry, this one is interesting to me because it's so similar to some of the work that you were doing earlier this week.
Oh.
And I created this drawing years and years ago.
Oh,
but
wow.
but this is your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to do a drawing of your face. And if If you're really brave, you can use a marker to do it. You can always start over if you don't like the way it's looking. Or you can just embrace however it shows up. So that is your challenge for today. And so let me go on, and if you have questions about that, we can talk about those later. I want to just share a couple more things with you. So Donna, you said earlier, before I started recording, that yeah, you wish this could continue. Well, anyone that wants to continue is welcome to join me April 2nd for the Unlocking Your Creativity virtual retreat. It's from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. and it's easy to get to. It's just like what we did today, or it's similar in what we've been doing all week, because I introduce things, you go off on your own and complete them, and then we get back together and discuss. So that's the format. It's really, I've found it to be a lot of fun, and it works really well. Also, there are a lot of other retreats that are coming up that people are welcome to attend. The one in May is about manifesting. The one in June is about standing in your power. And then the one in July is about getting centered. A lot of people. So as you two know, because you were the part of the masterminds that helped create this Living Your Vision series, I reached out to visionary women to say, what do you want? And these are the things that people said they wanted: to be able to stand in their power, to stay centered, to be able to tap into divine guidance. So, you know, people are welcome to attend any of these retreats. The ones in June through October are on site, and the other ones are virtual. Also, you know, it's really important to find your tribe. We have discovered during this challenge that there can be critics around us, and there can be critics within us. And when you find a tribe of people, women who are like you and understand what you're working on, then it's really helpful. So I invite anyone that's interested to join my Facebook group, Spiritually Anchored Visionary Women. So I'd like to end just by sharing a thought with you. When I took a storytelling class a few weeks ago, and the facilitator said, if you had just one message for the world, what would it be? And I thought about it for a while, and so I'm going to share it with you now. You're bothered by things around you in your own life and in the world for a reason. It's a message from the universe. Don't just complain. You were born to help those things change. So if you're ready to help those things change, I invite you to stay connected with your creativity. And if you have other questions, please feel free to reach out to me. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you. I like that.
Yes.
Let me stop the recording.